Hello everyone, my name is Paola Barcasel and my presentation is on semantic maps and how you can use them in your classroom with bilingual students. So what is a semantic map? A semantic map is a tool used to help improve students' vocabulary learning. This tool helps students organize their information visually in a way that allows them to see the relationships between the pieces of information that they are learning about. There are two types of semantic maps. One of them is a mind map and the other one is a concept map. So a mind map displays a central concept from which secondary information branches off. And a concept map includes more than one concept with the primary purpose to show the relationships between the concepts. These semantic maps are easy to create, but they do require a lot of planning and thinking. And semantic maps also emphasize collaboration of the students and the teacher, since this is something that can be done in the classroom. So how do you use semantic maps in your classroom with bilingual students? So first you have to identify the topic and decide which semantic maps you will use with your students. You have to decide if you're going to use a mind map or concept map, depending on which you think will work best for the vocabulary that your students will be learning. Then you have to brainstorm basic semantic relationships. So this is done by the teacher. So the teacher will draw and label the topics, and then the students can begin to brainstorm relevant secondary concepts. And once the secondary concepts are all laid out, then the teacher can break the class into different groups. So once the class is broken up into groups, the students can go and look up information to place under the secondary concepts that they were assigned, and they can do this using dictionaries or other appropriate materials. Now, this can be done either in class or it can also be done as homework. You also have to make sure that students understand the significance of regionalism and synonyms, because some synonyms, as it was mentioned in the text, have the same meaning but are not interchangeable in text. And the example that was given is cold and frigid. So these words mean the same, but they're not interchangeable in context. Now, you also have to integrate the 5 C's, which are communication, culture, connection with other disciplines, comparisons with students' native languages and cultures, and use of foreign languages in communities outside of the classroom. So this is important because not every word in every Spanish dialect means the same. So you do have to make sure that students understand every word that you are using. So this is an example of a semantic map that was provided for us in the textbook. Through the semantic map, the teacher is teaching her students the vocabulary they will need to describe how humans interact with each other and the environment. As you can see, there are words and pictures used throughout the semantic map. It is important to use visuals in these semantic maps to allow your students to have a better understanding of the vocabulary terms they are learning. So I would use this strategy with my students, and the way I would implement this strategy would be I would assign the topic, how humans interact with each other and the environment, and together as a class we would brainstorm the secondary concepts, which would be los sentidos, the senses, los medios de comunicación, the media, and la tecnología, technology. So I work with 3-year-olds, and this would be a strategy that I would not have them do on their own, simply because they're too young to do this on their own. So we would do this together as a class and just put the pictures under the correct category. So I would have pictures like the ones that are shown in the image here, and I would have each child come up to the board one at a time to place their picture under the correct category. Now, once the children come up to the board with their picture in their hand, I would have them tell us um, the name of the item that they're holding in their native language, and then I would translate it for them in English, and then we would just place it under the correct category. So I really like the semantic map strategy, especially for the younger students because it has visuals which allows the students to see and also have a better understanding of the vocabulary terms that they are learning. However, there are two modifications I would make to this strategy, which are the amount of secondary branches used, and also I would write the English translation on the semantic map next to the Spanish or the child's native language words on the semantic maps. So for the younger students, I would use one or two secondary branches just because they're younger. Um, but for the upper grades, I would use three or four secondary branches because I feel like the older students are capable of doing more. Now, I would write the English and Spanish words or the English and the students' native language words on the semantic map so that this way the students can become familiar with the translation of the words.